Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Popcorn Chicken. As you can see, we are not in studio tonight. We had a little change, little technical stuff going on. People are busy. You know, it's that time of the year. It's getting close to holidays, so people have lots going on. But we're still here. We're still going to do a show. Nate's with me, as you can see.
I am. Hello, hello.
And Elvin will be joining us very shortly. Justin might be not joining us tonight. We'll see. Anyways, he's got lots going on, but that's okay. We still have everyone. Hi, Kiwi. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we got a big show as usual. We're getting down to the last of, we have Monarch again, episode 3 of Monarch, which we'll talk about. And then we're going to talk about our usuals, Invincible and Rick and Morty. And these are the last, I believe, these are the last 2 episodes before a break, if I'm not mistaken.
For Invincible, yes, it's the last
Not Rick
one
and Morty.
before a break. Rick and Morty, they don't usually do a break mid-season. Let me double check that.
For some reason, I thought Elvin had said last. I definitely know that Invincible's taking a break till maybe mid-January, I think, or something like that. The new year for sure. I thought maybe Rick and Morty, but I could be wrong.
According to CBR, season 7 will not be taking a break midway through.
Okay. So it's
but they have in the past, so it's a fair assumption.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Yeah. And then you have chosen, we're going to get down to our last we're going to stop doing these 80s recaps this year and try something new in the new year. We've been doing this for like 6 months where we pick an 80s film. But Nate, it was your choice tonight, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think that this is considered one of the classic films from the 80s. It's First Blood, which is the first Rambo movie.
Right, because people always get it mixed up. They do just call it Rambo, right? Or Rambo. I mean, it is just called First Blood. There's no Rambo in it. It's the sequels that are called Rambo Part 1, Rambo Part 2. But yeah. Why don't we while we're waiting for Elvin, why don't we start talking about that? I mean, it's a great film.
Let's do it. And I will start by apologizing to D because I had called the movie I in my mind, calling it Rambo is the same as calling it First Blood very often.
Yes.
And so I just said Rambo, and he made 2 thumbnails for us, one of Part 1 and Part 2. But thank you very much, D, and apologies for that. But Rambo is just one of those. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say just exactly what I said before. People get it mixed up, and they say, "Have you seen Rambo?" And it's really just called First Blood because probably when they made it, they weren't like, "Oh, we're going to be making there's 2 sequels to it, right?" So they weren't like, "Oh, we're going to be making sequels," so they're not going to call it by his name, right? So that's why people still probably get it mixed up. But go ahead.
By the way, I just want to say, as soon as Elvin gets here, let's pretend that we finished talking about it because he loves Sylvester Stallone.
It's true.
So let's just say we're done. We finished it. We moved on.
Okay.
As long as he's not listening. But anyways, it's a classic 80s film. It takes place in Hope, Washington. Although, for those of you who are fans of Rambo, it's actually filmed close to where we live, up in Hope, British Columbia. And to this day, they still have it. Well, I say it like it was something ancient from the 80s. But they celebrate the filming up there still every year. I haven't been there for the actual celebration. It's not like a big festival, but it is a small event, which is kind of neat.
Wasn't it a big anniversary last summer? 82. So what's that, 40 years? Would have been the 40th year anniversary last summer. Yeah. I remember hearing...
Weird thinking it's 40 years.
Yeah. I remember hearing stuff on the radio, how they're having, I don't know exactly what they did in Hope, but I'm sure if you went, it's going to look a lot different than it did in the film. But yeah, there's Mr. Elvin.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Good evening. Good evening,
gents.
How you doing?
Good. Just busy day. Really busy day. Yeah. Apologize for being a little bit late, but
no worries. No worries. We've actually started with your favorite. We've started with First Blood Rambo.
Nathan, when you picked this, I'm like, I like this kid. I like this. You got a future, kid. You got a future in this business. It is one of my all-time favorites.
Of course, if anyone doesn't know that you love Stallone from the many Stallone shirts you wear, I don't know. They're
only
not
have
paying
one.
attention.
What do you mean I have many Stallone? I'm trying to
I've
secure.
seen you wear.
Which one did you see me wear? I got the Rocky one.
I've seen you wear it multiple times. It's
I have the
black shirt
Balboa
with
one.
the front.
I've been trying to
Yeah.
secure a Rambo one, and it's almost impossible to get it. Like, there's a specific one I want. It's hard to explain, but it's hard to get.
No.
Did I tell you that I had a Rambo gun when I was 5 years old?
Oh my god!
I got it as a birthday gift. It was a gun that turns into a flashlight if you pull the trigger, and there's Rambo on it. And I loved that thing. And I didn't even see that movie, and I loved it. I was like, you give a kid a gun, they're all gonna love that stuff. Like, not a real gun, toy gun. And so I cherished it. And then I found out what the movie was about, and I loved it even more. Then I found out it was filmed in our neck of the woods. I loved it even more. It just gets better every time I hear about it. Then I watched a documentary about it, and I loved it even more. So, like, 30 years going strong. I'm liking it in every decade more and more. So
yeah, we were just saying that last summer. I remember hearing and hope that there was some sort of big anniversary. I don't know what they did, but there was some sort of big First Blood anniversary that they had. Like I said, I don't think it looks the same, the town, but yeah, they still advertise it, I guess, is where it was shot.
So it's funny you're talking about it. We're talking about today. Today I was listening on the way to drop my kids off at radio station, and they still exist, radio stations. They were talking about Rambo. What are the odds? It's a sports talk radio station too. And they're talking about Rambo. They're talking about how the place Hope, where they were filmed it, they have a museum or like a tour guide or something, and they're just begging people to show up. Like, please come and visit our place. We'll take you to all the places Stallone went. So I might go check it out though in the summer. Maybe we should do a little road trip or something. I don't know.
Road trip,
yeah. A little bite to eat in around that area. There's some nice diners there. We can go and get a grub. So, but anyway,
such a weird selling point. Because like, go to Vancouver. There's whale watching and mountains nearby. Go to Washington D.C. There's the Smithsonian. Go to Hope. There's Rambo.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know where Hope is.
And the funny thing is, when you think about the movie, right, the actual town is only maybe the first half an hour, right?
Yeah.
And then it's all out in the bush the rest of the time.
It's sort of it's a town that you go and get gas and just keep going out back into the highway.
Yeah.
It's just built that way. It's
Yeah.
a town that's right next to the highway, right?
Yeah.
But I anytime I do go on a road trip to the mountains or anything like that towards that way, I always go there, get some gas, get some food, and then on my way. It's sort of like a stopping point that a lot of people take. It's one of the last cities you hit before you go into the mountains, right? So most people just fill up their tanks and get some food, and they're off they go, right? Because it's another 45 minutes to an hour through the mountains, maybe a little bit longer, right? And then you get to the next city or town. So if you don't have gas, that's where you want to gas up and go, right? So
yeah, I think they pretty much tell you that, right? Like, this is the last.
This
is the last town. You have to get gas here.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nate, give us a sort of if anyone's not seen this movie, give us sort of a summary of what this movie's about.
Yeah. So the general rundown is that you have a war vet, a Vietnam war vet, who is traveling to see his buddy in Hope, finds that his buddy got cancer and died, and he got cancer from Agent Orange. So all sad. I don't want to call someone depressed, but if you hear your friend's just been killed, or sorry, just died of cancer, you feel pretty rough. He's going through town, and this cop starts bugging him, this sheriff, because Stallone looks like a bum. He looks like he's just a kind of a drifter going through town. I think that's actually the phrase they use. They call him a drifter in it.
Yes, he's the original Drifter.
Yeah, he is. And it gets to a stage where the sheriffs don't want him in town anymore. They pick him up, and things go completely sideways at that point. Before then, it's just Stallone's this guy. They don't know quite who he is. They pick him up to try and get rid of him. Yeah.
It doesn't get more hobo than this.
It doesn't. But then they try the shaving scene. I gotta admit, this part's kind of funny. So they arrest him. He's in jail, and they're gonna shave him because he's in this photo. He doesn't actually look like he's scruffy, but they're gonna shave him.
Wasn't it a haircut too, or is it just shaving?
I can't remember if they're gonna give a hair. They didn't give him a haircut. They didn't get time. They just tried to shave him, and
they hose him down. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's a standard prisoner thing.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them shaving someone though.
Right.
But they don't just shave him with like a regular.
They got the old blades.
Yeah,
right?
They get the old straight razor, and that just sends them over the edge. Full Vietnam PTSD.
Oof, yeah.
And I'm sure you guys remember. I thought this part was kind of funny. I'll be honest. But you see him getting tortured. It's like, wow, that's intense. He's got a knife being pulled across his chest, and then it cuts to him in prison, screaming while they're holding him, looking up at the sky and just twirling his head. I gotta admit, that was pretty funny to me.
It was cheesy, yes.
It was. But moving forward, basically the rest of the movie is a flight from the cops. He breaks out. The cops are chasing him down. Eventually, the cops learn that he's a Green Beret, and that while trying to escape from them, while trying to escape from them, a cop dies, and that just they double down. And the rest of the movie is them hunting him down through the forest, through a mine, and eventually there's a standoff. It gets led back to town. There's a standoff in town, and it ends with his old officer is in charge of the Green Berets, telling him to give up, and he surrenders at the very end. And he doesn't surrender just yet, though. He gives this great little speech about the horrors of coming back from war, and it makes you think this was an action movie, and it still is an action movie, but it's got a very true, deep message to it. It's not just a movie about violence, which it is for the most part, but then it hits home with this soldier trying to return home, but now being hated by the people at home, by being spat on by strangers, by being viewed as the enemy after everything you've done that you thought was good. And it's this message that a lot of soldiers from Vietnam resonated with. And it's an incredible story that's fun to watch, action-packed, with a deep message behind it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, I probably saw it on TV with like my brother or something. And it's interesting too, because I mean, it's funny how afterwards in the sequels, Rambo just becomes this killing machine, where in this movie, he doesn't even really kill anyone. He accidentally kills the cop that falls out of the helicopter, but he's just like setting up traps and just like, he could have killed them all easily.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, I just really like that part of it, that you don't actually know. It's one of those movies, obviously the cops are not even all the cops, just some of them are sort of the villains, right? But there's it's not really, he's not the villain. It's like the main cop, sort of the villain. But there's definitely, what's his name is in this from CSI. This is one of his earlier roles, David Caruso. He's the cop that says, he's the redheaded cop that's like, oh, look what he's been. He's like trying to plead with the other cops at the beginning. Like, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do this. So
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's so there are sort of nicer cops and then just cops that want to push his buttons and stuff like that. So there's some really great, definitely the scenes at the end when he's like trapping them all and he's setting up all those traps just with a knife and sticks and stuff like that. Those are some great scenes. But yeah,
and that world famous knife that Schwarzenegger tried to bring a bigger knife out of that afterwards. Remember?
Yeah.
You got a knife, I got a bigger knife, but that knife is iconic.
Yeah. Well, didn't Schwarzenegger also, we talked about this in Predator, didn't he say something like, I eat green berets? Right?
Yeah.
I eat green berets for breakfast.
Oh
So,
man, it's so
he always
funny.
had to step up from him. Yeah.
It's such a great rivalry between those two
Oh
because
yeah,
it spurred them on to make some great action
yeah.
films.
Keep outdoing each other, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. I also like watching the documentary, Stallone's documentary. He talked about Rambo, and he talked about how do I top Rocky, right? Rocky was so big and catapulted him into stardom, became a big star. What's my next thing? Like, how do I top that? And when he was putting this together, this movie, he was like, I really want to talk about the PTSD part of it all. I want to talk about him, this drifter, this soldier, just having all kinds of mental issues, right? Like really having a difficulty belonging in society because he was so far, gone, being a captive or being in the jungle in Vietnam. Doing all those things as a soldier for so long really messed him up, and he really wanted to show that. So there was a scene where he's crying, right? Do you guys remember that scene where he's in the floor in the sheriff's, I think it's sheriff's office, right? He's just crying there, and he's like, I really wanted to hit that point. As a kid, we don't like, I didn't understand what that was. I didn't understand why he's crying. Maybe he's upset or something, but hearing that from him all these years afterwards, I'm like, oh, okay. This, like this is what you were trying to achieve. You were actually ahead of the game. You were talking about mental illness 30 years before anybody even really took it seriously. Like really started talking about it and spreading the word out. He was ahead of this time trying to explain that this is a thing that a lot of soldiers, and to this day, there's a lot of soldiers that come back from their duties and have a hard time climatizing to society, right? And it's a serious thing. A lot of people just don't understand it. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see him talk about that and saying that he really wanted to hit that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just going through some of the trivia. The author of the book, David Morrell, he actually states that he prefers this film to his book.
Oh, I
Isn't
love
that
that.
crazy?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I think he did a good job overall, Stallone, making sure this was so well done. And it's crazy that he catapulted another movie that had multiple sequels, right?
Yeah.
You just think about that, like Rocky and Rambo had multiple sequels. And
Well, one thing.
yeah,
Go ahead, Elvin.
No, you go ahead.
Kind of catapulting from what you just said about how this was a big success is Stallone hated this movie when he first saw it. He saw it was like close to 3 hours, watched it, said it made him sick, said it made his agent sick, cut him out of it, do whatever they could. He'd buy all parts of the film that he could get his hands on, burn it, do whatever he can to destroy it. But he managed to get it cut down to 93 minutes. And that kind of set a precedent. It quickened up the pace of the film.
Yeah.
And it turned from one of the movies that he hated, the final product of, to arguably either his top one or two biggest successes.
I think the fact that he cut it down really helps the movie because there's only so much you can watch this guy running around the jungle.
Yeah.
Like how many twigs does he need to break before you're like, okay, we get it, man. You know how to, shape spears out of twigs. We're good. Like we don't need to see you foraging in the forest for berries. Right?
There's 30 minutes of him putting mud on his face.
Yeah. We don't need that. We're good. We're good. Thanks, man. So yeah, you're right. Him editing and cutting it down to a digestible amount really probably made this movie much better than he probably had it for like 2 or 3 hours, whatever it was.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the sequels?
Oh, I thought the second one was great because it goes back to where it all began.
Right.
You get to see him back in the element that really messed his mind up, right? I thought the second one was really good. I don't know about the other ones. I don't think they're that good. What do you guys thoughts on this?
I definitely saw the second one, and I agree with you that I liked it. I mean, there were some great scenes in it and stuff, and it was also, I think people got to a point where they liked the Rambo character so much. What I said before about him not being a killing machine, that we actually got to see him be, what we wanted him to be. But the third, there were a few of them. Wasn't the third one in Afghanistan? I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was in Afghanistan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he came back years later and just did another one called Rambo, and then Rambo. The last two I never didn't see. Even Rambo: Last Blood, which just came out a few years ago, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. So the Afghanistan one was one of his colonels gets captured by the Soviet, and he has to go in there and rescue him. Right. So
Right.
It's funny because he's a drifter and has want nothing to do with war, but every time they call him, he's like, okay, fine. I'll do it. Because in the first one, he's like, just leave me alone. Because he goes off in the sunset as a drifter, right? Like, how do they find this guy? Like, did they just look in the woods again and find him? Like, he had no number, and he didn't have a cell phone or a pager back then. So how did they get a hold of this guy? Oh, that's Pete. We have somebody says, wait, you don't like a guy talking with a bow? Hey, I give props to that person who takes down a helicopter with the bow and arrow. It was First Blood was a decent film, he says. 78. I think First Blood is a great action film.
Yeah,
it probably starts off the whole action craze, I think, or one of the movies that kind of gets it going, right?
Yeah, one of.
Yeah.
It's I think First Blood is the best out of the series.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Although the second one part 2 was pretty good.
Part 2 was good. I still think that First Blood is I think First Blood is significantly better than Part 2. I think Part 2 is good.
Significantly? I don't know.
Yeah, because I think I
agree with you. It's better, but I don't know about significant
movies. First Blood is like top 3 80s movies. Period. Top 3.
Oh, there's gonna be some arguments.
Part 2
around the world.
Part 2 could be in top 10, but it's not a top 3.
Oh, 78 says nothing will be Conan. Wasn't Conan in the 70s? Like late 79, I think.
Oh, look.
When did Conan get aired? I thought it was. Well, maybe I'm totally wrong on that. But no, Conan is a great. I'm not even argue that Conan was awesome.
82.
Okay, so really early in the 80s. Okay, and then Predator. Yes, Predator 1 I think is miles ahead of Predator 2. It's just because the environment again.
Yeah.
When you think of hunting, you want to think outdoors, right? Not sewers and buildings in Manhattan. Right? So, yeah, Terminator, awesome. Yeah, I think I like Terminator 2 more than Terminator 1.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that.
That's a very rare thing to happen, right? Where the sequel outdoes the original. Very rare.
Well, it's almost like Aliens and Alien. I mean, they're both actually good movies. They're completely almost different, where the first Alien is almost a horror, and then the Aliens is like an action film.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, there's something very raw, excuse me, about First Blood, meaning it's just very basic. It's just like there's a guy in the woods, and the cops are trying to track him down. I mean, I know there's the whole PST, and war thing and stuff like that, but there's just something very just simple about it that makes it so great.
And I don't think there's anything like it around that time anyways. It's very original, which makes it even more appealing, right? It's not like, hey, rinse, repeat, same thing over and over again. It was very original, and I think that's what audience really appreciated. Yeah. 78 says, man, we don't get films like this. We don't. No, but I honestly think in about 5 to 10 years, somewhere there, I think we're gonna have a resurgence again of this stuff. I think it's coming. I do believe it's kind of come down to people are getting tired of the stuff that's being pumped out right now, and you know Hollywood, when things start going downwards, they start looking for a fix, and I think this is going to come back. This kind of movie is going to come back, and I think also cowboy, the Western stuff are going to slowly trickle in it back again. That's what I think. I think the Marvel and the hero stuff, I think it's on its downward trajectory. I don't think it's going to completely disappear, but I just think that it's not going to be as lucrative as it was about 15 years ago when it started. You're not going to see the $1 billion that they saw, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
And you're seeing it with some of the stuff like DiCaprio was in that movie right now. It's a Western movie with De Niro.
Yeah, Flowers of the.
Yeah, you're seeing that stuff trickle in now. Yeah. I think
sure.
we're gonna get that. Pac says, I think we came close to these types of films in the early 2010s. Can you give us a couple of examples? I would like to know.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be nice. Yeah, give us a couple of examples. What do you think is a bigger franchise, Rocky or Rambo?
Oh,
I know the answer already.
I think it's going to be Rocky, to be honest.
Chris, what say you? Rocky?
Yeah, I agree. Rocky.
Yeah, I agree too. Rocky, I think, just has more legs. I get it. He has more legs. To throw in the terrible dad joke. Oh, God. But I think again, Rocky has more legs. I mean,
again, first Rocky again is so iconic, right? I mean, it was up for Best Picture and everything at the Oscars, and
it blew everything away.
Yeah, it wasn't expected, right? It was just like, what is this? Like, some, and it was just, it did so well. And what's he saying?
He didn't like my joke. Hey, look at this one. Chuck Norris, Delta Force. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah. There's been a lot more Rocky sequels as well, right? Rambo.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, Rambo doesn't have a spinoff, right? Rocky has a spinoff
with Creed. Yeah, you're right.
Some might argue the first one was good, and then the other ones were not. Like, I watched the last one with, what's his name from The Kang the Conqueror,
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, I watched, and he was great in that one. He carried that movie. Michael B. Jordan was not that good in this movie. He was actually pretty weak in this movie. Not in terms of being strong, but I'm talking about just his acting was not that great.
Didn't he actually direct that one?
Yeah. Well, he also pushed Stallone out of the way and said, "No, I'm going to do this on my own." Right? He was never called. That's what Stallone says, but I don't know who's right or wrong.
That's never a good idea to do that. To push out the people that were there initially that know
Travis.
The subject matter.
We are doing well. Hope you're doing well. Book of Eli. Yes. Book of Eli. Denzel. Yeah. Machete. Machete. That was good too. But yeah, no, like, I just thought Jonathan Majors carried that movie. And I think without him, this movie would have just tanked. It didn't do well either. Like, it didn't do well in the box office. But if it wasn't for that guy acting in that movie, I don't know where that dumpster fire would be. But they're making another one.
Really?
Yeah, he's already announced he's making another one. Maybe he should bring back Stallone this time, because without him, I don't think you have much. Because there's a sense of loyalty too, as well, to the original cast or the original creator, right? There's a loyalty there.
Yeah, they should fight.
Yeah, ding, right? Travis says Michael B. Jordan was decent in Creed 3, but every other performance outdid his, in my opinion. I agree. Even the Tessa Thompson, who I'm not a huge fan of, because she's got this weird acting thing that The Rock has too, but they just had that same look all the time. She was even better than him. I think the mom was better than Michael B. Jordan. But yeah, no, he didn't do a good job.
They're going to bring it up so his son starts fighting eventually?
No, daughter.
Sorry.
In the movie, there's a daughter that he's training. So I'm thinking that's the route they're gonna go. It's not. I think you should put this to bed now. You've made 3 movies. Just leave it alone now, right? I think you should let it kind of.
It depends on the numbers. It's always about the numbers.
That is true. I mean, but I just think that if you want to have the daughter version go down the road, maybe just hold off a little bit. Get the anticipation going. Don't just throw another one in there because it just feels like it's being watered down, right? Let it breathe a little bit. Wait a few years. Daughter will grow up because the timeline will work, right? Because I think in this one she's like 14 or 15, something like that. So maybe in 5 years do one, but then she'll be 20. Then that's perfect.
Is
right?
Rocky even mentioned in Creed 3? Like, did they even bring up his name at all? Nothing, right?
No. Not that I'm aware of. I didn't hear any mentions at all. In the other ones, yes, of course. Right.
Right.
But yeah, not even mentioned. So it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. Cool. All right, boys. Shall we move on?
Yes. What do we got next on the docket?
What would you like to talk about? We've got Monarch, Invincible, or Rick and Morty.
Maybe do Monarch near the end. We could do Invincible and Rick. Let's do Rick and Morty right now, then we'll do Invincible after that.
All right. Rick and Morty. What happened in this episode? This was episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
I like the name of this episode. Do you guys remember the name of it?
It's supposed to be similar to like Hot American Summer or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's like wet quat American Summer.
Yeah.
like because the Quado, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so this one actually focuses more on the sister, right? Now, again, you guys have to enlighten me. Have there been many episodes where they focus on the sister so much from other seasons? Do you remember?
No, not really. From
they
my
have
knowledge,
in the past done adventures, like
yeah, they've done stuff, but there's not a lot of it. It's far and few between.
Oh, I'm trying to correct ourselves here. Rocky is mentioned once by Damien when they're looking at his photos in Adonis's house. Yeah, okay. That I remember that now. Thank you. Anyways, back to Rick. Sorry. What was the title again?
Wet Quat American Summer. I guess or maybe it's Wet Quado American Summer. Anyways, it's supposed to be a reference to that, right? So, yeah, it's got Summer, the sister. She's doing some chores for Rick, and now this amulet, right, that she gets from him. Has this been in the episodes before? Gives her power and stuff like that. Do you guys remember?
No, magic's been shown in Rick and Morty before, but not this specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like when she's sorting through she's got the normal amulet and the cursed ones, and she's sorting through them at the very beginning.
Just like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And so and then she she's doing a bunch of chores for him. A lot of things are probably referencing old shows that I don't know about, but when she's cutting up that alien in the back and gets like purple blood all over herself.
It's just so random, right?
Yeah.
What did you guys think of it overall? Like, did you like this?
There was a lot. I mean, the reference to Total Recall, right?
Yes.
With the Quado or whatever it's called coming out of the stomach. That was pretty funny.
Oh,
gross and funny at the same time.
Yeah, it's the messed up side of Rick and Morty. We've seen it already this season with the spaghetti episode, where they just kind of tiptoe around the line of what's almost crossing it into being too weird, kind of gross, but not fully. So it's still funny. Overall, it was classic Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I thought, I'll be honest here, this season has not been the greatest. It's been a hit or miss. and it kind of hurts my heart to say that because I'm a big fan of it. I thought this episode was okay. It
Really?
wasn't. It didn't make
Oh
me
yeah.
laugh out loud or anything like that. It had its moments where it was just like, this is a typical Rick and Morty thing where they go kind of grotesque. There's killings and blood splattering, things like that.
Yeah.
There's a mention of drugs, right? So, yeah, it was a typical show episode. But I'm just thinking that maybe they have just really done so much that it's become the normal now. Nothing is groundbreaking or really out there. Like, do you know what I mean? We're 7
Yeah.
seasons in. They've done so many different episodes. Right?
Like this is a new idea that they've done.
Yeah, but even though it's a new idea, it just doesn't feel up to the level of the ideas they've done in the past 7 years. There's been some crazy banger episodes. Right?
Yeah, no, that's true. Some really, really good ones.
I guess our expectations, well, for me and you, Nathan, we are avid watchers. I know, Chris, you just started watching it. But I just think that maybe there's an expectation now from us to have every episode to be great because we've been spoiled from the previous couple of years. I think last season we had some great episodes and there were hits after hits. So I think maybe we're just spoiled by the fact that what we got last season. But I'm wondering also, is it gone down in terms of quality because of one of the original co-creators leaving? I'm wondering if that is, as whatever the situation is outside of the show. That's not what I'm talking about, or nor do I want to get into. But I just think that maybe that person leaving created maybe turmoil when they were producing this, when they were getting this going. Because you got to know that this is a year in advance. This was being put together. It wasn't just put together last month, a couple months ago. It was a year off.
I think we could confidently say no because Justin, not our Justin Roiland, he pretty much went hands off seasons ago. He just
you think
stopped.
So?
That's what all the reports said, all the news said about it. That
I'm not buying it. I think
he basically stopped. He stopped coming in for work. Remember, his role turned into, I'm going to record the lines you send me from my house and I send it to you. Dan said that he hadn't seen him in years, in a couple of years. Justin had other things he wanted to do, and he was not happy with the direction Rick and Morty had taken many seasons ago. So he just hands off as much as possible.
Interesting. I did not know that. I thought he still had a hand in play, and I'm wondering because I'm just trying to figure out what has gone wrong. And I don't mean this like it's like, hey, push the panic button or anything like that. I just feel the standard has dropped a level, not like plateaued in a rock bottom or anything like that, but I just feel that it's dropped a level, and I'm just wondering why. Right.
So when I watch these shows and when I compare them to other shows or even like other animated series, there's almost like 6 episodes within an episode. They just do so much. It's like jumps from here to here. It's like, how far can they push it? Are they going to push it farther? What are they doing? And it just goes and goes. And it's like, that's a lot. Like, where you look at something.
Did you like it? Did you like the fact that it did that, or you don't like that?
Sometimes it depends on the episode. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, I'm lost now. I mean, I still find it very funny, but that being said, it's like, from my point of view, it's got to be tough to come up with this much. 7 seasons, each episode is almost like, 6 or 7 little stories within each episode. That's just a lot of writing. So have the writers changed then as well? Has there been different writers? Or, I mean, I know the main guy left. Was he the main writer too?
Well, there's always people coming and going from that, right? So many people have gone on to other things. Like we just talked about, me and you, Chris.
Yeah.
Go check that out. The Loki and sorry, not Loki. Taika
Waititi.
Yeah, the situation with Kang. We talked about that. But one of the writers who's setting up for Marvel right now is from Rick and Morty, which you pointed out. So yeah. I'm wondering if the talent is just leaving and going for bigger, better things because they can only pay so much to these guys. right?
Yeah.
What do you
It
think,
could be.
Nathan? You're shaking your head. You're like, no.
No. I think that the writer team may have changed a little bit, but I think they're just kind of getting to the age, or not the age, the time where they're running low on ideas. Ideas are still good. I'm so happy, but the level that they're at previously has gone down a bit. For example, that episode where they finally get to Rick's nemesis and defeat him, I wasn't thrilled with that episode, as you know. I think that they could have done a lot more.
Were you not thrilled,
Progress and
Nate? Were you not thrilled with that episode, or you just felt? Didn't you say you felt it should have been like later in the season, that it was too early?
later in the season and a bit more of a build up this season. It just felt so out of the blue. Having it at the end of the season would have helped that, and then maybe midway through the season or even near the start, have a hint at Rick looking for him again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking that we talked about this, and I remember saying that maybe this is a trick. Maybe this is something to like oh, it's over with, and they've got the main Rick, and before you know it, last episode of the season, they're like, nope, gotcha. That was all fake, and tune in for the movie. They got to do something to really push us to watch this movie, because I'm like, why do I want to go waste my money and watch this thing if the shows are just going to be mediocre? Why do I care about a movie? They've got to push towards it, start pumping out a reason to go watch this movie.
All the good writers they took and put to work on the movie script.
It would be cool though if they did mention that all the writers from the seasons past are coming together. That would be a great selling feature. To say that all the writers from the past are coming together to do one big movie here for you guys. Yeah. A lot of people would take that and say, okay, sold. I'm buying my ticket. Right? I would be one of them. I'd be like, sure, set me up. I'm in. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, I would too. Does that include Justin though? Because he did help write the first season or two.
Well, I don't think that's going to be including Justin. And we're not.
Would a movie sort of end the series, or do you think they're just going to keep going and going? Like how long do you think this series can keep going for?
Well, I don't know if it has the legs like The Simpsons do.
Yeah.
But like part of me says like, and this just be me being selfish, but I don't want to see good stuff go away ever. Like I get upset when I see a show. Like there was a show that I liked from the UK. It was King Arthur's show that came out, I think, 10 years ago. And Merlin was the main character in there.
Oh, Merlin, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Merlin. It was the name Merlin, but it was, and I loved that show. And I was just like, when they ended it abruptly, I was just so mad because it had legs to go for another 2 years probably. And they're just like, nope, we're wrapping it up. That's it. And I'm just like, oh man, this is such a kick in the pills. Like I hate good stuff going away.
But there are those series that they think they can go long and they keep bringing back seasons, and then it's just like, oh, they're done. They were after season 3, that was it. Season 4 and 5 are no good. So it depends. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think this has at least seventh season right now. I think it can go to 10. I think it'll be fine if it goes to 10. But they got to really step it up. Like I want to see some really good episodes this season. Like you really got to wow me. And maybe they're saving the best at the end. Who knows? Right? How many episodes of this season? Is it 10?
I think so. Let me check, but I think so.
And we're at 6, I believe, right?
That was 7.
Oh, wow. We're already at 7.
Now, Elvin, did you not say they're taking a break as well, or they're not? Are they?
I just can't remember if they're taking a break. Traditionally they have,
right?
But I'm wondering how many episodes they have, because if they only have 3 left, they're just gonna ring it through.
Yep. Right. So there is 10 episodes.
Yeah. So I think they're just gonna go right to the wire here.
Yeah, right to December 17th is the last one.
Yeah. And then we'll have to wait another year for the next one.
Right.
That's 3 episodes left to wow me. Ooh, I don't know if it's gonna make it. That there have to be 3 magical episodes coming up right now to salvage the season. If they don't, this is the weakest season of all of them. By far. All the other ones had some really good, consistent episodes and good storylines to continue on to the next season and on to the next season, right? So, yeah. Like people are saying, oh, it's the voice acting. No, I don't even notice it anymore. I don't care if there are new people doing the voice. They're just fine. They're not that far removed where it's noticeable that bad. It's okay. Yeah, if you're a fan, you're going to notice the change, but it's not like, they went from a low pitch voice, Rick to like a high pitch Rick. It's very similar. It's close. Sometimes a little eerie. That's how close it is. It's kind of weird. I'm like, did they do this before he left, or is it still happening? Right. So, Nathan, what do you think this episode? What are your thoughts?
I think that, in my opinion, the voice acting has gotten better since, I can't remember if it was the first or second episode that we really heard it. I think it was the second episode. I think the voice acting was rather jarring. Maybe the third. Earlier in the season, the voice acting was jarring to me. I can tell the difference with Rick. Morty was good. Rick was just, it sounded like someone impersonating Rick, which it is. So that was just too much for me. It kind of took me out of the moment a little bit. I think it's gotten better. It's not perfect, especially if Rick doesn't try. And this is actually a problem. I find that the voice actor for Rick sounds best when he's not trying to use a lot of emotion in what he's saying. He's not trying to raise his voice to sound angry or sound like he's whispering or anything like that. Just plain monotone Rick sounds the best. Problem is, when he does that, he doesn't sound like Rick because he's not going up and down in his pitch and his emotion. He just sounds kind of emotionless. So it's in this cycle of it doesn't quite sound there.
All right. What do you give it? Unless there's anything else to add. Is there anything else to add to it? What give it?
I still enjoyed it. It's not as good as like the previous episode. I'll give this a 7.5. It's good, not great.
Fair enough. Chris?
I always, again, like I've said before, other weeks, it's all about how many times did I...
When we ask you about this, you're like,
I'm always like, well, how many times did I laugh out loud, right? So there was like, I'd say this episode was maybe 4 times when I laughed out loud. I thought when at the very beginning when Morty falls on the bag and he's like, "Are you just in the bag, Rick?" Like when Rick zipped away. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought at the end when Rick's beating up people and he just keeps beating up everyone, I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, I laughed about 4 times, which was actually more than some of the other episodes. So I'll give it a 7. I still found it pretty funny. But again, I don't know if it's my age, but I'm just like, there's so much going on. I'm like, what? Like, I can't blink. I can't like blink, or it's just like, what? I got to always rewind it. Like, what just happened? Anyways,
it's chaos. Yeah, it's chaos.
It is real chaos. Like, yeah. And then, I always get to a point in every episode where like, okay, they're going to push it further because they do in every episode. It's just going to, all of a sudden it's going to change and jump. And yeah, this did the same. But, actually I thought the very ending was funny when they're pulling the villain or whatever, that guy out of the water in the little Spider-Man thing. But Morty wanted the spider machine back. So he's trying to use the controller to bump the guy. It's just little stupid things like that makes it funny. But yeah, I'd give it a 7. What about you?
I think 7 as well for me.
Okay.
It was fun. It had some moments. Overall, it was all right. I didn't like whenever I don't have to forward or pause and watch the episode later for whatever it is, then it's a decent episode. If I have to stop in the middle because I'm just so bored and I have something else pressing that I'd rather do, that
Mm.
score is automatically 6 and under for me, right? I really have to watch and enjoy it to get over 6. So it was all right. It was borderline. Like it was at some moments I was like, do I pause here and watch the rest of it later? But I'm like, okay, I'll give it another minute. And I was like, all right, not bad. 7. Yeah, 7 for me too. Yeah,
Well,
3
pretty
more
close.
episodes left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll get into Invincible. If you haven't seen it, you should know that we're going to talk about it. So think about it. You should go watch it and then come back and listen to our thoughts. Invincible. All right.
It's season 2, episode 4.
Yes. Did you guys both have a chance to see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nathan, did you see it?
Yeah. I remember you mentioned it earlier this week. You said, like, hold on. Yeah, I get what you mean. There's so
Yeah,
much
baby.
that I did not expect we would get. And it's also
And you know
of
the
course,
crazy
the
part
perfect
about this,
cliffhanger.
and I'm not trying to ruin it anything for you guys, but it gets even more crazy. It gets even more crazy.
Is it still following the book or the comics?
So yes and no.
Okay.
And where and how I can't because I'll ruin it for you badly.
Okay.
I didn't finish the entire. I didn't finish it. Like I'm not like miles ahead of here. Like I'm gonna catch up to it. Sorry, the show's gonna catch up to where I stopped very quickly here. But there's some stuff still coming down the pipeline. This episode is called "It's Been a While." Obviously, that's the relationship with Omni-Man and Invincible. It's been a while. Woo, man. Okay, where do I begin? There. Speaking of stories, this is I think a little bit more digestible for you, Chris, because I think there's only 3 really good stories in here.
It's so funny. It's like
Only
Chris,
3.
you should just watch something simple, Chris, because you can't follow anything too crazy.
Read a book. Garfield comics. There you go.
All right. No, those are too complicated.
It's lasagna. And a cat.
Garfield, Odie, John, lasagna. No, it's above.
I can't wait for that movie. I'm telling you right now. I'm
Yeah.
so looking forward to that movie. It's gonna make me laugh, and I can't wait to go in the theater to watch it with my family. Yeah. So it's been a while. It basically is about it kind of the cliffhanger from last week's episode where he gets tricked into going to this planet, Theraxians. They're bug-like creatures, and he finds out that his old man's there hanging out, just consummating with some bugs and having a good time, right? Air's clear, it's good. But I really liked how they went and told what happened after he left Earth. Because nobody knew, right? They didn't tell us anything after he left Earth, Omni-Man. What was he doing? So I liked how they explained what he was doing that whole time before he got to this planet. He was just flying aimlessly into space, thought about committing suicide, into a black hole, ends up rescuing these guys who are about to get sucked into the black hole, accidentally happens to be there. They talk about how he's able to go into space and still be able to breathe. He has to hold his breath, right? And he gets older because there's a long journey. And then he has to go from planet to planet to kind of replenish his energy and then go, which pays off near the middle of the story where Invincible's like, screw this, I'm out. Like, I gotta go, right? I'm gonna go back. And he's like, you're not gonna survive. You're not gonna make it back to Earth. Either you go in a spaceship or you're not making it back to Earth because you just don't have the strength to do it. And I like that because it wasn't like, because Superman, this guy can fly everywhere as long as there's a sun there, right? A yellow sun. And holding breath and stuff like that, nobody even ever talks about that. So I like the fact that there is some sort of explanation of the limitations he has in terms of intergalactic traveling. So that was pretty cool. But what did you guys think? Like, these guys were tripping out? Like, Nathan, were you tripping out?
Well, like with the breathing.
No, the
I
whole
like
the fact
that.
that his dad's there,
Oh,
and
oh yeah. Well, part of me was thinking like naturally, from what we've heard of the Viltrumites, most likely after leaving, he's gone to a planet that he's already conquered, or he's gone to conquer another one, or maybe he just went to a planet with no one there. Isolation. That's kind of the three guesses I had. Um, this is pretty similar. Yeah, goes to another planet as another family. Uh, so he
dude
kind
was
of
busy.
continues
Dude
with
was
his old
busy.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
he continues with his what he used to do before he met Debbie and went to Earth. So it didn't freak me out too much. Although having the other family did kind of surprise me. I thought that he wouldn't have had that right yet or have a son. Spoiler.
Yeah, for me, when they mentioned Oliver, the son, I was like,
Hmm.
"Whoa, oh yeah, okay, I remember this part." The key thing with this is, unlike his first child, Mark, Oliver has the ability to grow faster, get older faster, because that race dies off quicker too. They grow and then they die really quickly. So having
Yeah.
the Viltrumite DNA in there, instead of living Viltrumite, like the really strong and like pure ones, they live for thousands and thousands of years, right? So instead of him dying off in less than 100 years, he might live for at least 500 years. He might live that long. So, and then the fact that they grow up really fast, like he's only like a year old in this thing, but he looks like he's 3, right? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting how this works, the relationship. Uh, but the big thing was we see Omni Man have a change of heart. We see a different side that a lot of people who don't read the comics didn't see coming. Didn't see him changing and becoming a caring family member. And a lot of it, I think, has to do, like, he even says to him, like, why do I feel that, like, why am I like this? Because none of the Viltrumites are like that. They're robotic killers in terms of a mindset, right? They don't care about feelings. It's kill or be killed. That's it. And then you hear that uh, echoed by Omni-Man to Mark when they are feuding with the Viltrumites, like, hey, don't hold back because they won't. They're going to kill you no matter what. They don't care. They have no feelings. They break you, they break you. That's it. Right? Chris, what'd you think?
So I'm still, I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm still in the same boat that, see, here's the difference. When I watch Rick and Morty, I'm rewinding stuff because I kind of don't want to miss stuff. With this show, I'm just letting it go. I'm just kind of like, okay, because I'm still, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I'm still not into it, and I know I didn't watch the first season, so you're saying I
That's
should,
fine.
but I still don't know if I even watched the first season if I'd get into it. I find with something like Rick and Morty, even though I didn't see all the seasons before, I can just because each episode is so different and doesn't always relate to the last one, and there's independent stories here, and they again go all over the place, that I can find a lot more to connect to than this series.
Well,
So
Invincible, it's very connected. It's a
yeah,
linear connection, right?
right,
Rick and
right.
Morty's all over the place. Season 1 will have something that you'll get a reference to in maybe 5 seasons later. Like that, it's all over the place, right? It's not like every episode is connected and moving to the next episode. Some of them are fillers, some of them are connected, some of them are not, right?
Yeah.
So with this one, it's if you don't watch it from the beginning and you jump in season 2, I know you don't really care for it. It's not your cup of tea, you said, which is fair enough. It's fine. But I think anyone who wants to get into this, it's recommended they start from the beginning.
I still might over the holidays. I still might try to, because now
That's your
they're on a
homework.
bit.
Remember, we said that's your
Yeah,
homework.
I know. what's going to happen if I don't get it done? But yeah, well, it's kind of
fail.
nice actually that they're taking this break now, right? So I can.
Yeah, it
watch
was a
season
mid-season
1.
finale, which is so weird. Like, when's the last time we had a mid-season finale?
Well, they did it with Stranger Things. Last
Did
Stranger
they?
Things. Yeah, they
They
played
did.
7 episodes. They didn't.
Oh,
It wasn't cut in half, but they did 7 episodes, and then they waited 3 months to do the last 2
yeah.
episodes to sort of build up the hype.
I loved that.
Really?
Yeah,
You get the season.
yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Chris,
Yeah.
you watched Stranger Things season 5.
Well,
Actually, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that you're right, Nate. The way they did that was just brilliant because the first 7 episodes there was so much going on, and then the way they stopped episode 7, and then they waited a few weeks, and you knew the 8 and 9 wasn't coming out for like 3 months, but they dropped this trailer that just had so much anticipation for 8 and 9, and then we've talked about this before. 8 and 9 were like movies because they were so long. Anyways,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the only reason I accepted that, I didn't like the break. But the only reason I accepted it is what you just said. They were long episodes. Had they given a break and said, "Yeah, we're gonna come back and give you 2 45-minute episodes and end it right there," I'd be like, "What was the point of the break then? Like, why?" Right?
Yeah,
But
I feel like the last 2 episodes were longer than the 7 before. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but they were they were long for sure.
I think they
They're
were 2
hours
hours
each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So if you
I remember going to my son because both my kids are huge Stranger Things fans, right?
Yeah.
In fact, they poke at me like, "Hey, remember the 80's? Remember that? That was great." Get out of here.
And you say I was there, but I do not remember it.
I don't. I go. You know what? I didn't remember the Demigorgons at all.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, because I remember looking at my kids. I'm like, this feels long because you do this, Chris, and you said it. You look at the timeline before start of every episode, right? I don't do that because I don't want it to end. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to know when it ends. Let it end when it ends. I don't want to know, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're watching this, an hour goes by. I'm like, it's still going. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And an hour and a half goes by. I was like,
I think it's
wow.
rare though. Like the way they Stranger Things season 4 pulled it off was very rare, and I don't know if most shows can do that. Because you're right. People don't like breaks, and we've already gotten to a point where except for Netflix, still drops a lot of their shows all at once.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
In the past, Stranger Things has just had it all right there. Boom, here it is. Just go and binge. Boom. And this is the first time they're like, you know what? We're going to do a break there. And I was just like, this is weird, right? Like, why? And then I'm thinking maybe they needed extra months to finish the last 2 episodes, whatever it was. But yeah, it was worth the anticipation, worth the wait there. I was like, okay, fair enough. You got me. And the last 2 episodes just were magic. Just amazing. It was magic, right?
Yeah. That build-up was so worth it. And I love how they do give you that time to process everything that's happened. Gives you time to come up with theories as to what's going to happen next. And I think that's actually part of the fun of watching a show. Because just having a week before, between episodes, both episodes are same amount of time, it doesn't make you think, oh, something big's happening. But when you've got a couple months in between and the next few episodes are going to be basically movies, you're going to come up with all these weird ideas as to what's going to happen next. You can have fun talking about it with friends. It's going to build up more hype for it. I think Netflix, that was just a hole in one in terms of how they released it. But I don't think, do we know for Invincible what the next?
I like how we veered off to the Stranger Things.
Yeah.
When Stranger Things does come back, we definitely need to do breakdowns.
Yeah.
Definitely need to talk about it. But anyways, let's get back to Invincible here. So they are planning to bring it back in February, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Sometime in February, or
how long?
But I think, sorry, it's a 2-month hiatus. I think.
No, I mean, like when the episodes are released, is it going to be continued like 45-minute length or an hour?
Whatever the length, they are pretty consistent with the length of all the episodes. So it's 4 more episodes left when they come back. But Robert Kirkman has said that the next season is going to be right around the corner. You don't have to wait 2-3 years like you did with this one. They're already finishing up the other season, and it will drop rather quickly. So I'm thinking if this
Good.
finishes in springtime, or sorry, just before springtime, if this finishes, I think the next season will probably show up in November or December, which is not bad, right? Which is not bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
But getting back into this episode, so there's 3 stories going on. You have Eve back home. Her father's, a little bit right on about superheroes being selfish a little bit. She's fighting something Cannon. What's the guy's name? Some Cannon. But she's fighting that guy, and she makes fun of him because all his power is to shoot out of the cannon, even though he got an upgrade. So she's got her own little thing going on there. She talks about the hideout that she's at. She goes there. She's, when she feels lonely, she wants to go to her family's house, but her parents don't, or her dad doesn't like her. So there's this side story about her trying to come to grips with her parents, like figuring it out with them. And the episode does end with her going back to her house. Her dad lets her in, and I think they're gonna probably, when they come back in the new year, probably sort of finish off that relationship where she has a good relationship with her family. So that's going on there. And then you have Mark's mom, who's still walking aimlessly after that bar fiasco. She's still walking around feeling all crappy. But going back to what I was saying, how Omni-Man is feeling all these emotions of care now when he's not supposed to. His race is supposed to be ruthless. And then Mark, they hinted about this throughout the season about the other Marks from the other universes are all evil, or most of them are all evil. And one of the things that they're saying that this universe is different is because is of the mom, the wife, making such an impact because he wasn't around. He's always around the world, and somebody had to look after the kid. So there was a bond there that she had. She was playing the mom and the dad role kind of thing. And then also because she's such a caring person, and Omni-Man, member said, "You're just a pet to me." Turns out it was more than just a pet. She had an influence in him and made him think differently, just instilled a little bit of care inside him there. And that was enough to grow to what it is now, where he's like, I see everything, Mark. I figured it out, Mark. Like, this is not what I want to be. I don't want to be this killer. I think we need to protect people. And this family that I have, I want to protect them. Mark, help me. I'm going to teach you how to fight. All of that stuff is spewing out of him now. And it's really, really insane to see that coming from last year, and especially the finale from last year, what he did. And Mark, at first, is kind of frozen, doesn't know what to do. He's sort of like, gives them a hug, then backs off and says, "Hey, screw you, buddy. Like, you kill tons of people. You're a horrible human being. You're a horrible mom. I'm sorry, a dad. You're a horrible husband, all that stuff." But he's like, okay, well, if you don't help me, these people are going to die. Do you want that on your conscience? So he knows that I did something wrong. I know that, but I need you to listen to me right now because these guys are all going to die and I need your help. So Mark has to put aside all those differences and learn. But by the time they're sort of figuring this out, the Viltrumites are already here. 3 of their scouts are here, which we saw in the last episode when they beat up Alan. I mean, just tuned out Alan. The same 3 showed up, and they're looking for Omni-Man, and they want to destroy him because they think that he's, veering away from his objective, which is to conquer planets and then report back and grow the Viltrumite army by, assimilating with the species that's there, a strong species. So you see the fight that happens, and then you see Mark going in the cave with the Oliver and his mom, and then you see one of the big baddies show up there. I can't remember his name. Just lays a beating down on Mark and finds out that Oliver's another one. He's like, what? Another weak species? Like, this guy. right? Like they're disgusted the fact that this guy has another kid and with a weak race, right? And then Omni-Man, of course, shows up and lays a beating on this guy, but only because he has more experience. They're both very strong fighters, right? But because of his experience, he was able to kind of whoop his, and then kind of protect the family and Mark. And then you got the female Vulturemite. She's got this blade on her hair. Her hair is probably like stronger than anything on Earth in terms of rope. And she's fighting Mark, and then you have Omni-Man fighting the other guy. And that fight scene was insane. That whole scene was just crazy. I don't know how
My
you
jaw
guys
dropped watching it.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, this is insane. I know, Chris, you don't care for that, but did you at least like the fight scene?
Yeah, I do. It's always been something that the show there's a lot of gore to it, so it's sticking hands through people and a lot of blood. There's always tons and tons of blood.
It's a violent show.
It is a very violent show. So that part of it, I have no problem with that. I think the fight scenes are great.
Yeah, it's what this show's about.
Yeah.
Right? People are coming in for the violence this show has, and they've been doing it since day one. And that's what sets them apart from a lot of animation, because you don't see that stuff from a lot of animation. They're all PG-13. You don't see blood and guts spewing out. Speaking of guts, while the fight is happening, Mark is pep talk, like we mentioned earlier, like, you got to go for the kill, Mark. They're going to kill you. You got to do it. And so Mark just lays everything out and finally is pushing his potential to new heights. And you can see that because he lays a beating on the female, right? And he's almost there, but he still kind of lets up. And that's when she goes, gotcha, and just sticks it right into his abdomen, right? The blade from her hair. And then Omni-Man, of course, I just love that craziness where he's crushing the guy's head. And it just looks like giant Play-Doh just got to pop. It looks like a Pillsbury. No, not Pillsbury. What's that? The small snacks, the pepperoni stuffed in there. You know what I'm talking about? My kids love that stuff. Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets.
Hot Pockets. He looked like his head was blowing up like a hot pocket in a microwave. It's just like push, like that, right? And that was such a brutal way to die. And then when all things are kind of calm, out of nowhere, this dude in the cave that got his kicked has guts spilled out all over him, does a devastating blow to the back of Omni-Man, cripples him. That was just insane. And then he obviously dies because he's bleeding himself, hemorrhaging. But then you see, before he dies, he calls in the Viltrumites, and they come in, and they got Omni-Man in a stretcher, and they're going to take him back to assassinate him, execute him because of his wrongdoings. But they leave him, like, you have Mark basically bleeding out, right? And then you have this shadow over top of him. It's another Viltrumite. And do you guys know I mentioned this to you guys, the voice
for
the person that was talking over Mark. He was in Ahsoka. He's passed away.
Oh, it's I don't know what's his name. Ray Stevens. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was his voice.
Okay.
Ray Stevens.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm like, oh no, we lost another good voice.
Yeah.
Not only do we lose a good character, we lose the voice of the character for another show. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Maybe they finished this season stuff, but maybe I don't know what they're gonna do. But it was really cool to see that. And then obviously he's like, I'm gonna let you live because you showed potential, because you might be able to assimilate with us. The whole idea is they want the army to grow, and so they think that he has a potential to be strong just like them. Because if he wasn't and didn't show any potential, they would just kill him. Just like they want to kill Oliver because they think that he shows zero potential, right? But that's going to play out as well. One thing that was interesting that Omni-Man said while he's being taken away, he's like, the books, Mark, the books. Read my books. And obviously that has a lot of hints, probably, how to defeat them, the history of the Viltrumites, all that stuff's in there. That's going to be interesting because right now it's on the sidewalk, right? In the episode, that's where, the mom put it because she wants to get rid of the stuff in the house. Did you also notice another voice from Star Wars show up in this episode? A very famous voice.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was the old guy that showed up to help
okay.
the wife. But
Right.
yeah, so 2 Star Wars characters showed up.
Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty amazing, actually, Mark Hamill's career doing voices, right? He's done
The Joker is the most iconic one he's done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's done some crazy stuff. But yeah, so it ends with the cliffhanger as well, because what's going to happen next? Is Omni-Man dead and done? Dust it off. So I'm looking forward to seeing the new season. I'm upset that there's a break. I don't know why. I don't understand. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that. What would you guys give it out of 10? And do you have anything to add? I know I rambled on for a while here.
Again, I said this a couple of weeks ago, Elvin. You do a better recap of understanding the show than when I'm watching it. I always wait for
Yeah, you're like, this will wait till what Alvin says, and I'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up my alley. Like, I understand why you don't like it. I get it. I totally get it. It's right up my alley, though. As you can see behind me, the alley. And if they were to make, if any Japanese company was out there to make some of these characters, I'd buy every single one of them.
Yeah.
I love this show. Is it the best show ever? No. But it's right up my alley of what I like. Right? It just feeds me. The spaghetti from Rick and Morty feeds me well.
Oh. Yeah. Glad you bring that up, hey?
Nathan, what are you thinking? Anything to add?
Do you know what? I don't think I have got anything to add. I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you kind of watch the show for the violence,
the sheer violence.
Yeah, and also a bit for the shock value of the violence. I think. In the final episode of season 1, where Mark's head is just Mark's being held by his head by Omni-Man, and Omni-Man's just letting a train go through both of them, and everyone is just crushing themselves against Mark and dying.
Like, Chris, I know you don't like this show, but if you'd watch season 1 and one of the episodes, the sheer violence is insane.
Yeah,
it's off the charts, insane.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll save it for the family holidays.
Yeah, no, don't watch it with the kids. Don't do that. Please, nobody watch with your kids. Please do not watch this show with your kids. It's not meant for kids. It is 18 and over, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you get out of 10, guys?
I'm just gonna stick with a 6 for me. I think I pretty much.
You don't have to be nice. You can give it a 5 if you don't like it.
Well, I don't hate it. I just, it's just, again, it's not for me. But no, I mean, it's done well, and yeah, the action or the fight scenes are great. So I'm just gonna give it a 6.
Okay, Nathan.
Oh, I muted myself by accident there. 8.5. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was very good. I think the emotional impact is not as big as, again, in season 1, the final episode with Omni-Man leaving Mark after Mark says the final words. But I don't think it's supposed to be like that. It's just supposed to be a pivotal turning point in the show, rather than a big emotional conclusion. So 8.5, I liked it.
I agree with you. I'm going to give it a 9. I really enjoyed it. It's what I was waiting for to be about, consistent violence. I don't condone violence, but I'm just saying in the show. Consistent violence, a lot of things at stake, and then a lot of turns and unexpected twists. And I think I got that with Oliver being introduced. I like the fact that Omni-Man completely changes character. I love the ending of the guy coming back out of the dead basically and just crippling Omni-Man. So there was a lot of things there that I liked, that I enjoyed, and I thought it was the best episode they put out this season. It was the best episode. So yeah, 9 for me on that one.
Nice.
Yep, it was a good one. So waiting for till the holidays with this one.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have Chris. Take it away.
Yeah, Monarch episode 3. For some reason, I was messed up. I thought they were dropping episode 4, but it doesn't come out till this Friday. So gave us some time to watch this episode. I actually watched this episode twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think it was the best episode so far. Every episode's been great, but I really like this one. It basically just it kind of it starts off exactly where we ended. Episode 3, we see in the present in 2015 the younger group meeting Kurt Russell's character Lee Shaw at some sort of Monarch facility, and it's actually his idea to break out. And I actually really liked that scene when he didn't know actually how to drive a minivan. Like he didn't where are the keys, and they had to sort of help him out. And then we obviously do the same sort of story, the jumping back and forth between 2015 and the group back in the 1950s. I thought that story this time was really interesting because we got to finally see Godzilla again. Those three are asking the military for their help. The military says, yes, we'll help you, but they really had a different idea. Instead of helping them with Godzilla, it's like, let's kill Godzilla. And that whole scene with the atomic bomb and Godzilla coming up on the beach, I really like that a lot. So it had a lot of great stuff to it. And then in the present, when they're going to go try to track down the father, and they head to Alaska, and they find the plane. His plane is down. I'm going really fast through this episode, but
no, that's fine.
They realize that the plane is their father's plane is down, and the pilot is dead. But they see a tent set up, so they realize, okay, our dad's probably still alive. And then the amazing part is, or the kind of neat part is that one guy realizes, oh, this isn't a plane crash. Something else has happened. Like this plane landed, and then something attacked it, and then we get to see exactly. I don't know what that monster was called. Comes out of the ice, and I guess its breath is really cold because that pilot freezes right away. So there's just some really good action stuff in this. It got me questioning a few things, which we can talk about. But before we get into that, why don't you guys just kind of give me your reactions to this episode?
Go for it, Nate.
I was a little confused in the 1954 part. So like the previous history part where they're trying to, use a nuclear bomb to kill Godzilla. However, we also know from the 2015 part that Hiroshima was selected. It was a list of coordinates identified by Monarch. So why would they? Sorry, I'm in my mind. I'm thinking it doesn't quite make sense if they've seen that a nuclear bomb used in Japan won't kill them. It just kind of wakes them up and not activate. It just kind of wakes them up. Why would they think that it would kill them a couple of years later in 1954? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe they improved the bomb.
Yeah.
This
I
was
don't know.
the initial test, right?
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say I don't. It's the military, right? There's gotta be no rhyme or reason behind some of their stuff, and just I don't know if they're really thinking that much into it. It's just like, hey, we got a bomb, let's attract them and let's blow them up.
Yeah. The whole future stuff, I like I mentioned to you guys, I like the past stuff a lot. I thought it had more legs than the future stuff. But this episode, it was the other way around. I really liked the future stuff, and it almost felt like an Indiana Jones kind of adventure where they're
Mm.
flying in this old plane, and going to another part. It just felt like Indiana. And I was waiting for the map with the red dots where they're gonna go. Like, great.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And it was cool. I think cinematography is absolutely awesome in this. It really feels like a movie every episode.
Yeah, especially when so in the 1950s when they're on the beach and they're waiting for Godzilla, and it shows the guy who's got the old crank camera, and then there you see that point of view, like that's actual.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it looked really great when they did that. I agree. I love the way it's like watching a little mini movie each time.
Yeah, the production value is really good here.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved the surprise at the end of this episode where you see this different monster, unique abilities it has. I'm excited, man. Like, I haven't been excited since the last. It's funny. Every Apple TV show is like so good now. Since the last Silo was the last one where I had anticipation, waiting for the next week to show up so I could see what happens. But yeah, this one has got me interested, man. I'm ready to watch the next episode. Like,
yeah,
bring it out already.
Me too.
Yeah.
So there a couple things I found interesting in this episode is in the future, the Kurt Russell, the Lee Shaw character, he's actually supposed to be a lot older than he looks, and they kind of mention that in this episode. Like I think it's May or someone says to him, like, and he just says it's genes, but I'm wondering if there's something else there that a sort of.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe in a specific area, time works differently.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Which area, though?
Well, I don't know. Like, there might be another. Like, is there another dimension where these creatures are coming from? Like, we don't know where they're coming from, right?
Or you're thinking like Pacific Rim?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what to think. I want the show to be grounded as possible without getting too crazy, right? Yeah. But that is a hint, right?
There is in Godzilla vs. Kong, right? They reveal like there's in the earth where some of these monsters exist. And I'm wondering if like there's no time standstill there or something like that. Because I do find it's weird. He should be like 90 years old. And he's running. He looks about, I don't know how old Kurt Russell is, but he looks exactly how old Kurt Russell probably is in his 70s. So it's interesting. And I hope they don't just kind of, you're right. I don't want anything too weird, but I hope there's something there about that. And also they kind of maybe hinted it a little bit. So when we go back to the characters in the 1950s, because of, who the grandmother is, and the kids have the same last name as the Bill Rhonda. But I'm also wondering, is he the grandfather or is it Lee Shaw? Like, is there something there? Is he the actual their grandfather and then their dad's dad? Because I feel like between the three of them in the past, there's something. There's something
happened
going on. Something going on there for sure.
Yeah, some funny business.
And the last thing I wanted to say, and I'm wondering, and it's only it might not be anything, but in the present, the friend, the girl that you said you found a bit annoying, Elvin May,
the techie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she's a spy. I'm wondering if she's like a Monarch spy or something.
If she is, I like that character then. If she isn't, get out. I hope you get eaten by a monster.
She just seems to be doing little things that, nothing major yet, but just little things that you're kind of like, well, how would she know that? Or like, oh, we should go here, on the map, or I need to do this and digitize the, the tapes. I don't know. Might not be anything, but.
And the son still looks like he's about to crap his pants.
He does.
He still has that look. It's comical now. He's just laughing when you see his face. He's just so like frozen in time. I think there's a lot of intrigue now with the future stuff. The past is going to be very cool. I'm just waiting for it all connect. How do they all connect? Why do we have a past and a future? Why are we just not doing the future stuff when doing flashbacks? Why is there an emphasis? What is going to happen here? I hope it's interesting enough, but it's not too like way out there sci-fi, right? So
we also got to figure about again the Lee Shaw character. What happens to him that puts him where he is now? Like, why did Monarch it's almost like they put him in like a prison to hide him from talking or something like that, you know? So why did they do that? So yeah, I'm intrigued. I still do you guys think the dad is alive? Obviously he's got to be alive. Like,
yeah, but then they'll explain how he was alive. What was he doing? How did he find? Like, how did he stay alive this whole time?
Is he the one that is leaking, or Monarch? Obviously, they want to track him down. So why? Like, what did he do? So I don't know.
Nathan?
Well, I'm thinking that Chris mentioned earlier about how the Godzilla movies, Godzilla and Kong, it kind of buys into it shows this Hollow Earth theory, the idea that there's another kind of world almost underground. I'm thinking if there's something to do with time manipulation, or not manipulation, but time, people aging differently and being able to go in places and kind of hidden from the world. It's confirmed already in Godzilla that there's a world beneath our world on Earth. Perhaps he's down there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's another hidden area that time just works differently there, right?
Yeah, gravity might be stronger down there, and so it impacts.
Well, it'll also explain why these giant monsters can grow that big, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So then at some point Lee Shaw was trapped down there for years, and that's why he hasn't aged.
Yeah.
Potentially.
It certainly is. Like, I didn't think that we needed something like this from Skyline, because we've gotten a lot of Godzilla, right? We've gotten it. I didn't think we needed this, but now that I'm watching this, I'm like, I kind of need this. It kind of fills in the gaps for me a little bit, and I hope it just continues to do that, right? So
yeah. So when they do find the father, and like you said, Nate, he's been down there, then he probably hasn't aged at all.
Yeah, he might be young.
Maybe not. Maybe it's like Omni-Man and it's really slow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
His son and him just hug it out, and then his son pushes him away. He's mated with one of the characters.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like a half giant King Kong, half human.
Oh yeah, there was a giant King Kong involved.
There was actually one other thing. Sorry, I was just going to say, I was just looking at something I wrote down. My whole thing about, who's their grandfather and their father. If you remember in episode 2, in their dad's office, remember the siblings or stepbrother and sister are looking through the office, and the son opens up this folder, and it's everything about Lee Shaw. So his dad had all these files about Lee Shaw. I'm thinking that's why I'm thinking maybe that is his dad, and that's their grandfather, not the guy we think.
Yeah, they gotta have throw some twists in there too, right, to make us really think.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's been approved for season 2 yet, but I've seen online that it's got some decent reviews. Like, people are not hating it, so that's a good thing, right? I think maybe by the end of next week we might even hear something about season 2. So we'll see.
Yeah, if it does well, which it's already doing, you're right. They'll bring it back. But I mean, they also got to throw in some monster movies in there as well, right? They're going to bring those back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're probably already looking at another Godzilla versus Kong or something like that. I'm not sure. So again, I don't know. Will it lead into those movies? Who knows? Not sure.
It'd be nice if it
does. It open up? I want another show or another company doing a universe thing, right? We've had enough of the stuff.
Another multiverse.
Yeah, why not? Godzilla
They
twin
could bring.
shows up out of
They could
nowhere.
bring Godzilla, that one that's in theaters now. Godzilla 0.
It's a female Godzilla this time,
Yeah.
and it shows
It'd be
up.
funny though if they had a multiverse where they bring the Godzilla back into the 40s and then it's just a guy in a costume and they fight each other. That'd be hilarious.
Oh my god!
But yeah, overall, it's a good show.
Oh yeah, my apologies. I have to say though, on that note, I'm afraid I must go.
Oh yeah,
Really
no
start
worries.
at work.
You want to give you a score?
All right. Oh yeah.
That'd be nice.
I'm gonna give it. Yeah. Do you know what? So I'm gonna kind of split the difference between my two scores from earlier. I'm gonna give it an 8. I liked it. It was really good. I don't have any problems with it. The only reason why it's less than Invincible is just Invincible is at that big moment within the storyline.
But this is
and
there.
I
This
was
is
waiting
getting
for
there.
something like this.
Yeah.
This is getting there. This is exciting to watch. The cinematography is really well done. I'm enjoying it. So 8.
8, not bad.
Nice.
Kiwi
Yeah.
Dano says, "Ugh, the 50s." By the way,
I wonder what you don't like the 50s, Kiwi, or you like?
You don't like people in your 50s? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Ouch. All right,
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
You take care. We'll see you
See
next
you,
week.
Nate. See you, Nate.
Yeah, me and Chris. What do you give it out of 10?
I gave the first 2 episodes 9, and I'm giving this another 9 as well. It's just gotten me that, like you said before, it's gotten me to the point where I can't wait until this week to see what happens. And we're only 3 episodes in, and there's still 7 more to go. Like there's a lot.
It's weird because all the other shows, they're on the way down, they're finishing up or halfway point. This hasn't even reached. Well, this week it'll reach halfway. It's 7, I know, 3.5, but yeah, it's just so much has happened, and so much has intrigued us in such a short time.
Right. Oh, this is what Kiwi means. Sorry, my mistake. Came out in the 50s, not 50s. The 40s. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. He is a dinosaur resident expert, so you must.
He is. You're right. You're right. Thank you. Thanks for correcting us. Yeah. There's going to be some, when I still think about, 7 more episodes, there's a lot going to happen. And, like any series, there's going to be some episodes that are not bangers, but I don't know. It's now that it's gotten to a point where I actually like both the present and the past stories and the characters that, it got to a point when even in Silo, just the way it was made and stuff, it's like, it's not like I can have a whole episode of somebody watching paint dry, but still there's going to be some lesser episodes, but I'm probably still going to like it because I like it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's refreshing. It's like I said, I didn't think we needed something like this, but now that I'm watching it, I'm like, hey, this is something that we definitely need to kind of bring that Godzilla world more to life.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not when everyone online's talking about where are the monsters, where are the big fights, where's this and that. That's not what I want to see, because I've seen those in movies and it's like, what's the story? Who are the characters? Like, if it's just going to be a bunch of monsters.
We're seeing the human side of things more right now. And a lot of people might not like that. And I understand, because they were led to believe maybe, but it says Monarch on there.
It's true. It's not called
Godzilla. It doesn't say Godzilla. It doesn't say King Kong or any other characters from the lore. It says Monarch. And I think they're doing it right. I think they're showing you here and there, telling you, yes, this world does have these, and we're not gonna just show you a tail or an eye and make you just move along to the next storyline. They're weaving it in. It's a nice, intricate weave right now. It's happening in this show, and it's as long as it continues the storytelling, and there's payoffs, reveals. I don't want to wait till episode 9 and 10 for the big things to happen or huge reveals. I want some smaller reveals on the way, sort of like breadcrumbs all the way to the end. I want to see all that continue. right?
Well, yeah, and I also think they're doing a good job because there's other than us seeing Godzilla in this episode, and we only saw him in a flashback in the first episode. Every other monster is sort of, I believe, they're new. They're not like monsters that we've seen
Yeah,
before, which is good too because that could really build up to us seeing a monster that everybody does know other than Godzilla. I don't think they're bringing King Kong into this, but if it's Mothra or something like that, I'm not sure.
yeah. Like it's
Mothra,
also great for collectible people who are collecting, because I don't. I mentioned to you guys, like, I don't collect Godzilla stuff, but I know that's a very lucrative collector thing to get into. Like, a lot of people who collect that stuff, Godzilla stuff goes up high in prices for a lot
right,
of these collectibles. And I
right.
think this is great for people who are collectors and fans of that lore. They get new characters that they can add to their collection.
I was
Right?
just going to say, I'm wondering if they're bringing out,
They are.
oh, they
They
are.
will.
Okay.
Oh yeah, 100% they will. You're never gonna see a Japanese company not put out stuff from Godzilla. Every time there's a movie or a show, there's memorabilia coming. There's collectibles coming from it. So it's only a matter of time. A lot of them also have to wait till a certain episode is dropped before
Yeah,
they can introduce or show. So maybe there's a episode or two left where they can start revealing the collectibles for this show. But yeah, I mean, you give it a 9. I'm right there almost with you. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I think it's right up there. It's, again, it's not up my wheelhouse of things that I do and like, but I have to appreciate something that's really well written.
yeah,
Like we talked about cinematography, the acting for the most part has been great.
yeah,
There are some things that I mentioned, and that's just me, my opinion, but overall, it's been pretty good. Yeah,
yeah,
as good
yeah,
as you'd want it from a TV show, I guess. Right?
yeah, yeah, for
The
sure,
ante gets
for
up when
sure.
you're in a movie because people are paying a lot of money to go watch it. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it's been spot on, and how the characters are intertwining with each other and stuff like that. Especially, like I said, in the old or the 1950s story, those three. There's just in that last episode, the two of them, how they, the conversations between them was great. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, and yeah, I don't know. I think there was this amazing transition in this episode when Kurt Russell's driving and he closes in on his face, and then they go right back to the his son or the same character. So it's little things like that that they're just doing
mhm,
a bag up job
yeah.
in. So yeah, for sure.
So yeah, next week we'll talk about episode 4. We don't have Invincible anymore, so that's on ice. And then
Yeah,
we have Rick and Morty to talk about still. We have an
yeah.
80s movie to go.
So we're
So
going to be doing our year in review. Probably, you and I could talk about this, but
yeah,
it looks like probably in a couple weeks, probably the December 13th show seems like
yeah,
when we're all going to be together. But anyways, yeah, that'll be the show where we talk about the best and the worst of the year.
yeah. Because I think most of the stuff, it will be sort of maybe a pause. Did they mention any pause for Monarch during the holidays?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
While you're looking into that, I do want to mention to everybody, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. If you watched us, whether it be live or on the replay, do us a huge favor, hit the like button. It makes a big difference for us to get the word out there. We would love to see more people come join us, talk to us. Don't be shy. Come say hi to us, talk to us, give us your input, give your thoughts. We love to hear that. Feedback is amazing. We love that kind of stuff. And visit our social media handle at ANR Universe on Instagram, X, TikTok. We're on Facebook as well. Go and say hi to us there. Give her your thoughts. We drop all kinds of cool stuff. We're doing reels, shorts. We're doing TikTok, stuff like that. So go check them out. Support us. We appreciate every one of you that do. So thank you so much. And then I think next week, maybe we can sort of do you want to give away what our mentions are, or do you want to wait till the reveal day?
Let's wait. Let's make
Okay,
it
let's wait.
when the other guys are here. But
Okay.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I found it's drop. It's not taking a break, Monarch. It's every Friday
It's
now
powering through.
till January 12th. So
Wow.
this Friday, and then
Love it.
December 8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th, January 5th, January 12th will be episode 10.
Nothing says festive with a couple of bombings of animals, large animals.
Exactly.
Very
Yeah.
festive. I love it.
I love it.
Hopefully they get like a giant reindeer or something.
For the Christmas episode. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. Do you guys start watching Christmas movies this time of year?
My youngest has been begging me to watch Home Alone, and I have a rule in my house: until it says December on the calendar, no Home Alone. You gotta wait till December. So he's gonna bug me at at 11:59 p.m. He's gonna bug me on Thursday. Are we watching it? Can we watch it right now? That's what he's gonna do. But yeah, that is our Christmas movie, Home Alone 1 and 2. Those are our number 1 and 2 movies. Both of my kids and my wife and I enjoy watching those 2 movies. I don't know. I might put something else into the repertoire this year. Something different. We always find a movie. There's always a movie or a special that comes out during Christmas time. Like last year, we did Guardians of the Galaxy special. Remember that with Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
So we did that. We threw that in the repertoire. But I'm wondering what we might do this year. For me and the wife, we also did that one with what's the name from Stranger Things? I think he had one. Was it Violent one? Violent Night or something like that? Was it him? David Harbour?
David Harbour. Yeah.
It was him, right? I think it was Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Me and the wife, we watched that one. Obviously, we didn't let the kids watch it, but that was pretty good too. I like that one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll see for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
maybe we should do also.
I was going to say that.
Go ahead, say.
I was going to say we should do before Christmas. We'll do a whole Christmas list, our top 5 Christmas films or something like that.
Yeah, film and TV show. Maybe hodgepodge it together.
Yeah, anything Christmas for sure.
Yeah, anything Christmas. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, sounds good. Yeah. Thank everyone for watching our show today. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. We will see you guys back next week. Say bye, Chris.
Bye, guys. See you soon.